Ada stood at the edge of the dusty road, her heart heavy with memories and anger. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the sagebrush that surrounded her home. It was a landscape she knew well, but today it felt different, charged with unresolved pain. Since that fateful day when her father was shot, a shadow had loomed over her life, and Jesse, her once beloved boyhood crush, had become the source of her deepest resentment. As a child, Ada and Jesse had shared laughter and dreams under the old oak tree near her father's ranch. They had made promises to one another, whispering secrets about their futures. But those innocent days vanished in an instant when Ada's father was killed. The town quickly turned its gaze toward Jesse, painting him as a monster without any evidence. That swift betrayal had shattered her world, leaving only grief and a burning desire for revenge. Tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, Ada glanced at the Colt pistol resting on her hip, its handle worn from use. It was no ordinary weapon, it was etched with Jesse's initials, a cruel reminder of what once was and what had been lost. Every day she carried it, vowing to avenge her father's death and make Jesse pay for the pain he had caused her. She had refused to see him as anything but the person responsible for ripping her life apart. Yet beneath that simmering rage lay a buried conflict. In moments of stillness, she could almost hear the echoes of their laughter. Did she truly hate him? Or was it easier to blame him than to face the truth? As Ada wrestled with her emotions, she prepared herself for whatever lay ahead. The truth was waiting in the shadows, and she would stop at nothing to uncover it, even if it meant confronting Jesse once more. Ada closed her eyes, letting memories of her father wash over her like a warm breeze on a chilly evening. He had been her guide, her protector, and her biggest supporter. Every day after school, they would sit on the porch of their modest ranch house, watching the sun dip below the horizon while he shared tales of bravery and honor. Each story was filled with lessons that shaped Ada into the fierce young woman she was today. Her father's laughter would ring through the air as he teased her about her stubbornness, and they often found themselves wrapped in easy conversations that flowed seamlessly between dreams and reality. He believed in her abilities and encouraged her to chase after what she wanted, regardless of what others thought. It was his unwavering faith that built the foundation of Ada's spirit. The day he was shot was forever etched in her mind, an unshakable image of chaos and despair. She recalled running to him, feeling helpless as he lay crumpled on the ground. The world around her became a blur of shouting voices and frantic movements, but all she could focus on was her father slipping away. In that moment, everything shifted. The warmth of their bond turned icy with betrayal, igniting a fire within her heart for vengeance. His untimely death had stolen not only her father but also a part of herself, the light-hearted girl who used to dream of adventure and love faded into the shadows of anger. Ada had since sworn to bring justice for him, clinging to the notion that if she could uncover the truth and punish the one responsible, it might ease her pain. Yet, amid her quest for revenge, a tiny voice whispered that she could be more than a girl consumed by hatred. She could honor her father's memory by seeking justice with determination rather than wrath. As she tightened her grip on the Colt pistol, Ada understood that this journey was not just about revenge. It was about finding herself again and standing up for everything her father had taught her about courage and integrity. Jesse stood in the back of the saloon, his gaze veiled with sorrow as he nursed a whiskey. He could still hear the whispers swirling around him like dust in the wind. Murderer. Fiend. The one who killed Ada's father. Each accusation cut deeper than a knife. Just a few short months ago, he had been a hopeful young man with dreams of a bright future. Now, he was haunted by the weight of false blame that had turned his once beloved town against him. Memories of Ada flashed through his mind, each one more painful than the last. They used to be inseparable, their laughter ringing through the fields while they ran wild and free under the sun. Jesse's heart clenched at the thought of her. He'd longed to tell her how he felt, but now the words seemed trapped within him, trapped by the devastating circumstances that lay between them. He wished desperately to reach out to explain his innocence, yet how could he when she viewed him only as the villain in her story? As he shifted his thoughts away from despair, Jesse recalled the day of the shooting. The chaos it had unleashed was still vivid in his mind. He remembered rushing toward the commotion only to find himself caught in a storm of accusations and fear. The knowledge that he hadn't pulled the trigger made every glance thrown his way feel like a dagger. Even those who had once called him friend recoiled from him, their faces twisted with anger and mistrust. Every morning when he awoke, Jesse grappled with two emotions, grief for Ada's loss and guilt for being blamed for it. Beneath all that turmoil was a flicker of hope, the hope that somehow justice would rise from this injustice. He longed for redemption and to win back Ada's trust, even if it seemed like an impossible dream. Determined not to fade away into obscurity, Jesse made a silent vow to uncover the truth and clear his name. Little did he know that fate would soon entwine his path with Ada's once more, testing both their hearts in ways they never expected. The Colt pistol rested heavily against Ada's hip, a constant reminder of her vow for vengeance and the turmoil that consumed her. Its polished wooden handle gleamed in the fading sunlight as she pulled it out to inspect the delicate etchings of Jesse's initials. Each swirl and curve of the engraving felt like a cruel joke, an emblem of innocence turned to betrayal. That gun was not just a weapon, it represented everything she had lost, her father, her childhood, and the trust she once had in Jesse. Ada could still hear her father's voice from long ago, teaching her the importance of standing up for what was right. He had shown her how to wield a firearm, instilling a sense of responsibility alongside the skills needed for protection. But now that knowledge felt tainted. Each time she looked at the Colt, she felt the weight of both love and hate clashing within her. It was an instrument of revenge, yet also a connection to her past. The memories of perfect summer days spent on the ranch came rushing back like a flood. In those moments of reflection, Ada grappled with her purpose. She wanted to hold Jesse accountable for what had happened to her father, but deep down, a flicker of doubt ignited within her. Was Jesse truly guilty? Or was he just another victim in a web spun by fate and foul play? The Colt seemed to whisper her father's lessons back to her, urging her not to let anger cloud her judgment. As Ada tightened her grip on the pistol, she steeled herself for what lay ahead. She recognized that while vengeance was compelling, she would need more than just rage to navigate this treacherous path. With each step forward, she vowed to uncover not only the truth behind her father's death but also the real story behind Jesse's actions. The Colt would accompany her as both a means to seek justice and a reminder that clarity could emerge from chaos. In that duality lay the heart of her quest, the journey toward understanding and resolution rather than mere retribution. The sun was setting low in the sky, casting long shadows over the rugged landscape as Ada made her way to the old shack on the outskirts of town. She had heard whispers about Cole, a dying outlaw rumored to know secrets buried deep beneath layers of lies. With each step, her heart raced. She felt a strange mix of anticipation and dread. Could he hold the key to uncovering the truth about her father's death? As she entered the dimly lit shack, Ada found Cole slumped against the wall, his face pale and lined with pain. The air was thick with dust and the scent of unwashed clothes. He looked up at her with weary eyes, a flicker of recognition sparking within them. "You're Ada," he rasped, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've heard about you." "Then you know why I'm here," she replied, her determination unwavering despite the fear that crept in. "I need to know what happened the day my father was killed." Cole took a shaky breath, clearly struggling with each word. "It wasn't Jesse," he began, his voice trembling with urgency. "The shot that killed your father, it came from a crooked marshal." He paused, gauging Ada's reaction as hope and confusion warred within her. "A marshal?" she echoed, disbelief mixing with desperation. Her mind raced as she grappled with the implications of his revelation. If Jesse wasn't guilty, then who was? "Why should I believe you?" Cole's eyes shifted as he locked onto hers. "Because I've lived long enough to see injustice unfold," he murmured. "This town is built on secrets and false accusations. Your father was just another victim in a web spun by those who wield power without remorse." Ada felt a chill run down her spine as the weight of his words sank in. The anger that had fueled her revenge began to flicker like a flame caught in the wind, replaced by a burning desire for clarity. What if everything she had believed was wrong? Her resolve strengthened. She had to uncover this tangled truth. "Show me," she demanded, a sharp clarity piercing through her confusion. "I need proof." As Cole nodded slowly, Ada sensed that this moment could change everything for both her and Jesse. The path ahead would be perilous, but for once, hope glimmered on the horizon amid their shared darkness. As Ada stood in the dim light of the shack, Cole's revelation echoed in her mind like a thunderclap. The realization that a crooked marshal, not Jesse, had fired the shot that killed her father shattered the foundation of her anger. Confusion swirled within her, colliding with the deep-seated resentment she had harbored for so long. How could everything she believed be turned upside down in an instant? Pacing the small space, Ada struggled to reconcile this new truth with the memories of her past. Jesse had been painted as the villain, a monster who had taken everything from her. Yet now he was simply another victim caught in a web of deceit. What did this mean for their shared history? Could she ever see him in a different light? The Colt pistol at her side felt heavier than ever, its weight now a burden rather than a source of empowerment. For so long it had symbolized her desire for vengeance, but now it was a reminder of how easily perceptions could shift. Ada closed her eyes, recalling the laughter and joy they once shared as children, memories that now seemed distant and blurred by pain. With each passing moment, Ada's heart began to soften as doubt crept into her thoughts. She had spent so much energy hating Jesse, yet now she questioned whether that hatred had been misplaced. Was he truly responsible for her suffering, or had he been wronged just as she had? The deeper she delved into these thoughts, the more complicated her emotions became. "Why did you tell me this?" Ada asked Cole, her voice trembling slightly as she tried to grasp the magnitude of his confession. "What is your stake in all this?" Cole shifted, his gaze steady on hers. "Because you deserve to know the truth and because I want to see justice served before I leave this world," he replied earnestly. "You may hold the key to changing the fate of many." As Ada processed his words, she felt a flicker of resolve ignite within her. This was not just about revenge anymore, it was about uncovering the truth and seeking justice for both herself and Jesse. With newfound determination, she knew she would have to confront him. The time had come to face the boy she once loved and redefine what their future might hold, together or apart. The dawn broke over the horizon, painting the rugged landscape in hues of orange and gold as Ada made her way toward Jesse's homestead. She felt an anxious flutter in her stomach, unsure of what to expect when she finally confronted him. Determined to uncover the truth about her father's death, she knew that they would need to work together. As much as her heart still ached with pain and betrayal, there was no other way forward. Jesse stood outside, his posture tense as he caught sight of her approach. His expression shifted from surprise to wariness as she drew nearer. "Ada," he greeted, his voice tight with uncertainty. The memories of their shared childhood washed over both of them like a tide, joyful times now overshadowed by grief and mistrust. "I came to talk," she managed, taking a deep breath. To her surprise, he nodded slowly. "If we're going to find out who really killed your father, we'll need each other." The willingness in his acceptance stirred something within Ada. Perhaps hope had a place amidst their grief after all. They gathered supplies while exchanging brief glances that carried the weight of unspoken words. Every rustle of sagebrush felt amplified in the silence between them. Once equipped for their journey, they set off under an expansive sky filled with promise and tension alike. The vast terrain stretched out before them, rolling hills dotted with sagebrush and wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. They traversed rocky paths and crossed flowing streams, but every step came laced with unresolved feelings. Ada felt the colt rested heavily at her hip. It was a reminder of her quest for justice, but also a signal of how past traumas could intertwine their fates again. As night fell and stars twinkled above them like diamonds scattered across velvet, Jesse finally spoke. "I didn't kill him, Ada," he said softly, as if attempting to pierce through the years of doubt that had marred their relationship. "I believe you," she replied quietly. "But we need proof if we're going to confront that marshal." A flicker of understanding passed between them, a shared goal igniting a fragile bond rooted in something more than just vengeance or blame. As they walked side by side into the darkness, both felt an unspoken determination forge forward through the shadows. Together they would seek justice against those who had wronged them both and find a way to reclaim their lives woven into the fabric of this unforgiving land. As they traveled deeper into the wilderness, Ada and Jesse faced not only the physical challenges of their journey but also the emotional terrain of their shared past. The terrain around them was rugged and unforgiving, much like their histories. Each rocky hill they climbed seemed to echo with memories, fragments of laughter turned to silence, and moments once full of promise now clouded by suspicion. During quiet moments by the campfire, as stars painted the night sky, they began to share hesitant stories. Ada spoke of her father's kindness and his unwavering support, while Jesse opened up about the dreams that had crumbled since that fateful day, the dreams he had kept at bay because of the accusations against him. As their voices mingled in the cool night air, resentment began to dissipate, leaving vulnerability in its place. "You know," Jesse started one evening, his gaze fixed on the crackling flames, "I never meant for any of this to happen." His voice was low but steady. Ada looked at him, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. "I believed you were guilty," she replied softly. "I thought you took everything from me." "I know," he said, finally meeting her eyes. "But I would never hurt your father. I still don't understand why things turned out this way." With each conversation, something shifted within her, her anger slowly transformed into understanding. As they navigated through dense brush and over thorny paths, time spent together unveiled glimpses of compassion hidden beneath layers of hurt. They were two souls caught in a maelstrom created by others who wielded power unfairly. However, shadows loomed beyond their newfound camaraderie, dangers lurked just out of sight, threats from those who might want to protect their own secrets at any cost. The air felt charged as every rustle raised questions about who might be watching them. Despite this tension pulsing between them like an unsteady heartbeat, Ada realized that she wasn't just fighting demons from her past, she was forging a new path alongside someone who understood pain and loss in profound ways. Together, step by step across those vast plains under starlit skies, they came to terms with both their individual struggles and the bond that was slowly strengthening between them, a bond built on trust and hope as they prepared to confront the truth ahead. As Ada and Jesse pressed on through the rugged wilderness, the serenity of their journey was often disrupted by unexpected obstacles that tested their resolve. One afternoon, while navigating a narrow trail lined with towering pines, they heard the distinct sound of horses approaching rapidly. The thundering hooves echoed ominously, sending a chill down Ada's spine. "Outlaws," Jesse murmured, his tone laced with urgency. They quickly ducked behind a cluster of boulders, hearts racing as they watched a group of men, rough-looking and armed, ride past them, their laughter cutting through the stillness like knives. Ada could see the insignia on their vests. They were part of a notorious gang known for robbing travelers and spreading fear across the region. After ensuring the coast was clear, they resumed their trek but soon found themselves at a fork in the path. Unsure of which direction to take, they hesitated until a loud shout startled them. Turning swiftly, they saw two lawmen approaching on horseback, rifles slung over their shoulders. "Stop right there," One called out, suspicion etched across his face. Panic surged within Ada. "We need to move," she urged, grabbing Jesse's arm as they dashed down the less traveled path. Just as the men took notice of their flight, they sprinted through thick underbrush and leaped over fallen logs, adrenaline coursing through their veins as shouts rang behind them. "Split up," Jesse shouted suddenly. "Meet back at the creek. I'll draw them away." Ada hesitated but nodded, trusting him. She darted into a dense thicket while listening to the sounds of pursuit fade momentarily. Heart pounding in her chest, she waited tightly wedged between branches until she could no longer hear any voices or hoofbeats. Once she felt it was safe, she made her way toward the creek bed where they had agreed to regroup. As she approached cautiously, relief washed over her when she spotted Jesse waiting by the water's edge, breathing heavily but unharmed. "I lost them," he said with a triumphant grin that quickly faded into concern as he regarded her breathless expression. "You okay?" "I am now," she replied, her heart still racing from both fear and exhilaration. In that moment of shared danger and reliance upon each other, an understanding deepened between them. They had escaped together once more. Each obstacle they faced only seemed to strengthen their resolve to find justice for Ada's father and uncover the truth of those who had wronged them both. With renewed determination, they set off again into the wilderness, ready to confront whatever lay ahead on their arduous journey toward redemption. As Ada and Jesse continued their journey through the wild, the harsh realities of their circumstances began to forge a deeper understanding between them. One evening, as they set up camp beneath a canopy of stars, the flickering firelight illuminated their faces and revealed the shadows of doubt that still lingered in both their hearts. "Do you think we'll ever find the truth?" Ada asked quietly, her gaze fixed on the flames dancing before her. The weight of her past hung heavily in the air, and she could almost feel it pressing down on her chest. Jesse sighed, running his fingers through his hair in frustration. "I hope so," he replied. "But it feels like every step forward is met with 2 steps back." There was a defeat in his voice that tugged at Ada's heartstrings. She remembered the boy who used to dream of adventure before everything went wrong. That boy was still there, hidden beneath layers of guilt and regret. "We'll find it together," she insisted, surprising herself with her conviction. With each passing day, her feelings toward him had softened. She was beginning to see him not just as a symbol of betrayal but as a partner in this fight for justice. "Forgive me," Jesse said suddenly, his eyes shining with unshed emotion. "For any pain I've caused you, even if it wasn't intentional." His sincerity surprised her, and for a moment Ada felt the walls around her heart begin to crumble. "I need to forgive you," she admitted softly, realizing that holding on to bitterness would only chain her to the past, a past she desperately wanted to escape. As the fire crackled in response to their honesty, they spoke more freely about their goals and fears. Jesse shared his dreams, how he had once envisioned a life where they would be partners in adventure, not adversaries shaped by grief. In turn, Ada revealed how her father's words about justice often echoed in her mind. They were guiding lights aiming to illuminate her path forward. With each exchange of vulnerability, they built trust like kindling piled high around flames ready to ignite. They both understood that true justice meant more than avenging her father's death. It also required confronting their shared history and finding forgiveness. As dawn approached and painted the sky with hues of pink and gold, Ada felt lighter than she had in weeks. Together with Jesse, they were learning that growth often came from facing one another's scars head-on, not just to heal individually but to weave a new narrative filled with hope and possibility for what lay ahead on their treacherous journey. As Ada and Jesse moved closer to the crooked marshal's hideout, tension hung thick in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. They had spent days tracking him through the vast, unforgiving landscape, following whispered rumors and uneasy glances from townsfolk who feared to speak too openly. Now, as dusk began to cloak the world in shadow, they could feel the impending confrontation looming ahead. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the rugged terrain. Ada's heart raced as they approached the ramshackle cabin where the marshal was rumored to be holed up. She tightened her grip on her Colt pistol, a tumult of emotions churning within her: fear, anger, and an unsettling sense of purpose. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for since her father's death. "Remember our plan?" Jesse whispered, his voice barely audible above the rustle of leaves. "We confront him together." Ada nodded but felt a rising uncertainty. What if she couldn't hold back the urge for vengeance? The very thought made her skin prickle. She wanted justice but worried that rage might drive her actions instead. As they crept closer, Ada caught sight of a figure slumped in a chair on the porch, a man clad in dusty clothing and a wide-brimmed hat that obscured his face. It could only be the marshal. Her pulse quickened as she recalled the stories of his tyranny and corruption, how he had manipulated people and abused his power. "Steady now," Jesse urged softly as they positioned themselves behind a nearby tree for cover. In that moment of stillness, Ada felt an overwhelming blend of emotions surge within her, a longing for closure mixed with a desire for revenge that threatened to consume her entirely. "Wait!" Jesse suddenly hissed as he noticed movement inside the cabin. The door creaked open, revealing another man stepping into view, a grim-faced associate of the marshal who looked just as menacing. Their plan would have to adapt quickly, they could not afford to be discovered. They exchanged a glance filled with apprehension before bracing themselves for action. Just then, Jesse grabbed Ada's arm, his eyes earnest. "Whatever happens in there, remember your father." With those words echoing in her mind and heart pounding in rhythm with her racing thoughts, Ada took a deep breath and steeled herself for what lay ahead. As they stepped out from their hiding place into the dim light cast by lanterns outside the cabin, she realized this was not just about revenge anymore, it was about honoring her father's memory by seeking real justice rather than succumbing to hatred. The weight of choice hung over her, the choice between vengeance and justice, and Ada knew this moment would define who she truly was meant to be. The showdown unfolded in a tense silence, the air thick with uncertainty as Ada and Jesse faced the crooked marshal. The dim light from their lanterns flickered against the cabin walls, casting unsettling shadows that danced around them like ghosts of their past. Ada's heart raced, each beat echoing her conflicting emotions, anger, fear, and an unexpected surge of compassion. "Your time is up," Jesse declared, stepping forward with determination. The marshal sneered, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the two young people who dared to challenge him. Ada felt a rush of bravery swell within her. This was not just about confronting the man who had taken her father's life, but also about reclaiming her own agency. "Stop!" Ada called out before action could explode. This was it, her moment to define what true justice meant in her heart. She raised her Colt pistol but found herself hesitating as she looked into the marshal's eyes. For a brief moment, she saw not just a villain but a flawed human being shaped by a lifetime of choices and corruption. "I'm not here for revenge," she said, voice steady but laced with emotion. "I want the truth for my father and to see you answer for your crimes." The marshal laughed, a harsh, mocking sound that sent shivers down Ada's spine. "You think you can bring me down? You're just a girl with a toy gun." But in that moment of doubt, memories flooded back to Ada, her father's laughter, his teachings about integrity and standing up against injustice no matter how daunting it seemed. She realized that choosing justice over vengeance would honor those lessons rather than shackle her to anger. With newfound resolve, Ada stepped closer, lowering her weapon slightly as she addressed Jesse. "We need to make sure he can never hurt anyone again." Jesse nodded in agreement, sensing Ada's shift toward forgiveness rather than fury and understanding blossoming between them as they united against a common enemy. The confrontation escalated into chaos as they fought bravely together to subdue the marshal and his associate, relying on each other's strengths until victory was within reach. Finally subdued, the marshal lay on the ground, defeated but still seething. In that moment of clarity amid turmoil, both Ada and Jesse recognized how far they had come from hating each other to standing side by side in pursuit of justice. As dawn broke over the horizon again, illuminating their path forward through the chaos of their pasts and into an uncertain future filled with hope, they understood one undeniable truth: forgiveness could heal wounds deeper than any bullet could inflict. Forever changed by their choices that day, they stepped forward together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead while honoring both Ada's father's memory and Jesse's innocence alongside their newfound bond forged in adversity. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Ada and Jesse stood together outside the marshal's cabin, the weight of their journey evident in their expressions. They had faced darkness, not only in the form of the crooked marshal but also within themselves. Their experiences had forced them to confront themes of love, betrayal, redemption, and ultimately hope. Ada's heart swelled with the knowledge that she had overcome her desire for revenge. She had once clung tightly to anger as a shield against loss, yet now she felt liberated by her choice to seek justice rather than vengeance. The Colt pistol, once emblematic of her quest for retribution, now symbolized her commitment to honor her father's memory by pursuing what was right. This transformation marked a profound shift within her. She was no longer just a girl seeking to fill a void with hatred, she was a woman who had learned to embrace forgiveness. Meanwhile, Jesse reflected on his tumultuous path as he continued to stand beside Ada. Betrayal had shadowed him for far too long since the day he was falsely accused. Yet through this journey and their renewed partnership, he found trust blooming again in his heart. The memories of their childhood friendship melded with their shared struggles, creating a stronger bond rooted in compassion and understanding. Together, they encapsulated the very essence of redemption, having faced their past together while choosing to forge a new future filled with promise instead of despair. Every confrontation with danger had reinforced their resolve and allowed them to shed their previous doubts and fears about trusting one another. As they turned towards the horizon, now radiant in hues of gold and orange that heralded a new day, they felt a glimmer of hope illuminating their way forward. They understood that overcoming the shadows that had loomed over them would not mean erasing past pain, but rather acknowledging it and allowing it to transform them. In this moment of reflection, they realized that love, including self-love, could blossom from the ashes of betrayal, bringing forth an unshakable bond capable of weathering any storm. As they took their first steps into the unfolding dawn, Ada and Jesse embraced an uncharted path where justice awaited not just for themselves but for all those wronged by tyranny. Together, they were ready to traverse that path toward healing and a brighter future.